The stars had been quiet for a very long time. Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking at the endless darkness of space. His species, the hegemony, had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They were strong, smart, and had the best technology in known space. Today was different. His communication officer, a tall alien with blue skin, turned toward him with excitement in his eyes. "Commander, we have found something," the officer said. "There are signals coming from a small system at the edge of our territory. The signals are weak, but they show intelligence." Vextar walked to the main screen. He saw a yellow star with several planets around it. One of the planets was blue and green, with white clouds moving across its surface. The planet looked beautiful, but small. "What do we know about this system?" Vextar asked. "The species calls themselves humans," his science officer replied. "They live on the third planet from their star. They have been sending radio signals for about 100 of their years." Vextar studied the information on his screen. The humans had cities, but they were small. They had vehicles, but they moved very slowly. They had weapons, but they were simple and weak. Most importantly, they had never traveled beyond their own planet. "Show me their military strength," Vextar ordered. The screen changed to show human armies. Vextar saw soldiers carrying basic guns and riding in metal vehicles. He saw aircraft that moved through the air using burning fuel. Everything looked so primitive compared to his own forces. "They fight each other often," his tactical officer reported. "They have many small nations that cannot agree on anything. They waste their resources fighting over land, water, and energy sources." Vextar shook his head. How could a species be so foolish? The Galactic Coalition had learned long ago that unity was strength. Every member species worked together for the good of all. These humans seemed to enjoy destroying each other. "What about their science and technology?" Vextar asked. His science officer pulled up more data. "They understand basic physics and chemistry. They have computers, but they are slow and simple. They have just started to explore space, but they still use chemical rockets. At their current rate of progress, it will take them thousands of years to reach even their nearest star." Vextar laughed. Chemical rockets. His own people had stopped using such primitive technology before they had even discovered fire. These humans were like children playing with toys. "Commander," his communication officer said, "there is more. The humans are destroying their own planet. They are making their air dirty and their oceans poisonous. They are cutting down their forests and making many animals disappear forever." This news made Vextar even more disgusted. Any intelligent species should know how to take care of their homeworld. The fact that humans were destroying the only planet they had showed how truly stupid they were. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Quindal was reading the same reports. She was the Coalition's best xenobiologist and expert on alien life forms. Her job was to study new species and decide if they were ready to join galactic society. Dr. Quindal sat in her laboratory, surrounded by data screens and research equipment. She had studied hundreds of species over her long career. Some had been welcomed into the Coalition. Others had been left alone to develop further. A few had been marked as dangerous and avoided completely. She began writing her official report about the humans. Species designation: human. Homeworld: Earth. Solar system. Population: approximately 8 billion individuals. Technology level: primitive. Social development: fractured and aggressive. Dr. Quindal paused in her writing. She looked at videos of human cities. The buildings were tall, but looked fragile. The humans moved around in small vehicles that burned fossil fuels and created pollution. Everything seemed so wasteful and inefficient. She continued writing. Humans show average intelligence but lack wisdom. They have discovered nuclear energy but use it to make weapons instead of solving their energy problems. They have the resources to feed everyone on their planet, but choose to let millions starve while others have too much. The more she studied, the more disappointed Dr. Quindal became. Humans had created beautiful art and music, which showed they had creativity. But they also spent enormous amounts of money on weapons while their people suffered from diseases that could be easily cured. Most concerning, she wrote, humans appear to be incapable of long-term thinking. They know their actions are harming their planet, but they continue anyway. They know war brings only suffering, but they fight constantly. They know cooperation would benefit everyone, but they remain divided. Meanwhile on Earth, Dr. Kang Hyun was working late in his laboratory in Seoul. He was one of South Korea's top scientists, specializing in radio astronomy and space communication. For weeks, he had been detecting strange signals from the outer parts of their solar system. The signals were not like anything natural that he had ever seen. They were too organized, too complex. They followed patterns that suggested intelligence behind them. "Mina, come look at this," he called to his colleague, Dr. Park Mina. Dr. Park Mina walked over to his computer screen. She was a brilliant physicist who had worked with Dr. Kang for many years. Together they had made several important discoveries about space and time. "What am I looking at, Hyun?" she asked. "These signals have been appearing for 3 days now," Dr. Kang explained. "They seem to be coming from beyond Pluto, but they are moving. Whatever is sending them is not staying in one place." Dr. Park studied the data carefully. The signals showed mathematical patterns that could not be natural. They were definitely artificial, definitely intelligent. "You think this is what I think?" "It is?" she whispered. Dr. Kang nodded slowly. "We are not alone, Mina. Something is out there, and it is watching us." Neither of them knew that their planet had already been discovered by the Galactic Coalition. They did not know that alien ships were hiding at the edge of their solar system, studying every radio transmission and television broadcast that Earth produced. Back on his command ship, Commander Vextar was reading Dr. Quindal's final report. Her conclusion was clear and simple. Recommendation: quarantine the Sol system. Humans are not ready for contact with galactic civilization. They are too aggressive, too divided, and too primitive. Contact at this time would likely result in chaos and violence. We should wait and see if they can evolve beyond their current limitations. If they cannot, they will probably destroy themselves within a few hundred years, solving the problem naturally. Vextar agreed completely. These humans were barely more advanced than animals. They were weak, stupid, and dangerous to themselves and others. The galaxy would be better off without them. He gave the order to establish monitoring stations around the human solar system. The stations would be invisible to human technology. They would watch and wait. If humans somehow managed to develop faster than light travel, the coalition would reconsider. Until then, they would be left alone like children in a playpen. "Make sure our monitoring stations are well hidden," Vextar ordered. "These humans must not know we exist. They are too primitive to handle the knowledge that they are not the only intelligent life in the universe." What Commander Vextar did not understand was that he had just made the biggest mistake of his very long life. He had looked at humanity and seen only weakness. He had seen division and thought it meant they could not unite. He had seen their struggles and assumed they could not overcome challenges. Dr. Kang Hyun and Dr. Park Mina continued their work, not knowing that invisible watchers were studying their every move. They did not know that somewhere in the darkness of space, alien beings had already decided that humans were not worth their time or attention. The Galactic Coalition had ruled the stars for millennia by being careful, by being smart, and by never underestimating their enemies. But they had never encountered a species quite like humanity before. They had never met beings who could turn their greatest weaknesses into their greatest strengths. The watching had begun. But soon, very soon, the Watchers would discover that they had seriously underestimated the small blue planet and its stubborn, creative, and surprisingly dangerous inhabitants. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Coalition first discovered the humans. During this time, hidden monitoring stations had watched every aspect of human civilization. The aliens recorded human wars, natural disasters, and political arguments. Everything they saw confirmed their original opinion that humans were weak and disorganized. But one coalition scientist had a different idea. Zenthari was the coalition's top anthropologist, an expert on primitive cultures. She had studied the monitoring data more carefully than anyone else. "Council members," Zenthari said during an important meeting, "I believe we are wasting an opportunity. Yes, humans are primitive, but they are also very good workers. They are strong, they reproduce quickly, and they follow orders when properly motivated." The council chamber was filled with representatives from 12 different alien species. Some looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin. Others had multiple arms or tentacles instead of legs. All of them were much more advanced than the humans they were discussing. "What exactly are you suggesting?" asked Council Leader Mordak, a large creature with gray skin and 4 eyes. "We should make contact with the humans," Zenthari replied. "Not as equals, of course, but as workers. We can offer them basic technology in exchange for labor. They can mine asteroids, build space stations, and do other simple jobs that are beneath our own people." Commander Vextar, who was attending the meeting via video link, shook his head. "These creatures are too unpredictable. They might cause problems." "What problems could they possibly cause?" Zenthari laughed. "They cannot even travel to their own moon without great difficulty. They have no weapons that could threaten our ships. They are perfect for manual labor under proper supervision." After much discussion, the council agreed to try Zenthari's plan. They would make contact with the humans and offer them a simple deal. The humans would get some basic technology to improve their lives. In return, they would provide workers for coalition mining and construction projects throughout their solar system. Captain Tolvan was chosen to lead the first contact mission. He was known for his ability to deal with primitive species. His ship, the Starbringer, was impressive but not too advanced. The coalition did not want to frighten the humans with their best technology. The Starbringer approached Earth on a clear autumn morning. Dr. Kang Hyun was the first person to detect the ship on his instruments. "Mina, you need to see this immediately," he called to his colleague. Dr. Park Mina rushed to his workstation. On the screen was something that should have been impossible. A large object was moving through Earth's atmosphere, but it was not falling. It was controlled, artificial, and definitely not human-made. "Contact the government," Dr. Kang said quietly. "Tell them we have visitors." Within hours, the news had reached every major government on Earth. Emergency meetings were called. Military forces were put on alert. But there was nothing humans could do except wait and see what the visitors wanted. The alien ship landed in a large field outside Seoul, South Korea. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The hull was perfectly smooth and seemed to change color in the sunlight. No human technology could have created such a vessel. A delegation of Earth's most important people quickly gathered. Ambassador Lee Day represented the United Nations. He was an experienced diplomat who had spent his career solving difficult international problems. Colonel Kim Bo came as a military advisor. He was a smart soldier who had studied warfare and strategy his entire life. Dr. Kang Hyun and Dr. Park Mina were also invited. As the scientists who had first detected alien signals, their expertise would be valuable in understanding whatever was about to happen. When the alien ship opened, Captain Tolvan emerged. He was tall and thin with blue skin and large black eyes. He wore a uniform that seemed to be made of liquid metal. Behind him came 2 other aliens carrying strange devices. "People of Earth," Captain Tolvan said through a translation device that made his voice sound mechanical. "We are representatives of the Galactic Coalition. We have been watching your species for some time." Ambassador Lee Day stepped forward. Despite his nervousness, he kept his voice calm and professional. "Welcome to Earth, Captain. We are honored by your visit. What brings you to our world?" Captain Tolvan smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile an adult gives to a child who is asked a silly question. "We have watched your species develop," the alien captain said. "You have shown some promise, but you are still very primitive. However, we believe you could be useful to us in certain limited ways." The captain's tone made it clear that he thought humans were far beneath his own species. He spoke to them the way a person might speak to trained animals. "We are prepared to offer your species a great opportunity," Captain Tolvan continued. "We will share some of our basic technology with you. We will teach you how to create better energy sources and grow more food. In return, you will provide workers for our projects in this solar system. Dr. Kang Hyun listened carefully to every word. He was not just paying attention to what the alien was saying, but how he was saying it. The captain's attitude was clear. The aliens thought they were dealing with simple, grateful primitives who would be excited by any offer. What kind of work would be required? Colonel Kim Bo asked. Simple tasks, Captain Tolvan replied. Mining operations on your moon and the asteroids in this system. Construction work on space stations and communications arrays. Basic labor that requires strength but not advanced knowledge. Ambassador Lee Day exchanged glances with his advisors. The offer was not exactly what they had hoped for when they first learned that intelligent aliens existed, but it was also an opportunity to learn about technology far beyond anything humans had achieved. We would need time to consider your proposal, Ambassador Lee said diplomatically. Of course, Captain Tolvan agreed. But do not take too long. Our time is valuable, and this offer will not remain available forever. While the official negotiations continued, Dr. Kang Hyun was studying everything he could about the aliens and their technology. Every device they carried, every material their ship was made from, every energy reading his instruments could detect. His assistant, Dr. Song Ji, helped him record and analyze everything. Dr. Song Ji was young but brilliant. She had graduated at the top of her class and had a gift for seeing patterns that others missed. As she watched the aliens work, she noticed something important. Professor Kang, she whispered during a break in the discussions, look at how confident they are. They are not worried about security at all. They think we are completely harmless. Dr. Kang nodded. The aliens had landed on Earth with minimal protection. They shared technical information freely during their demonstrations. They even discussed their own operations and plans where humans could hear them. Colonel Kim Bo was making his own observations. As a military man, he automatically studied the aliens' weapons, defenses, and procedures. What he saw surprised him. The aliens were clearly advanced, but they were also careless. They followed rigid protocols and seemed unable to adapt when unexpected things happened. During one demonstration, a piece of their equipment malfunctioned. Instead of fixing it creatively, they followed a long, complicated procedure from their manual. They are very smart, Colonel Kim reported to his superiors later. But they think in straight lines. They expect everything to work exactly as planned. They have never had to deal with enemies who think differently than they do. Dr. Park Mina spent her time analyzing the energy signatures from the alien technology. What she discovered was both exciting and encouraging. The aliens' power sources were advanced, but they worked on scientific principles that humans already understood. Their fusion reactors are just bigger and more efficient versions of designs. We have already theorized, she explained to Dr. Kang. Their gravity manipulation systems use exotic matter, but the physics are similar to theories our scientists have been working on for decades. As the days passed, more details of the coalition's plan became clear. They intended to establish mining bases throughout the solar system. Humans would provide the workforce, but aliens would supervise every operation. Humans would not be allowed to travel between planets without permission. They would not have access to advanced technology or weapons. They are offering us slavery, Dr. Songji said quietly to her colleagues. Hey, just want to make it sound like a good deal. But the human delegation continued to negotiate, asking questions and requesting demonstrations. To the aliens, this seemed like exactly what they expected. Primitive humans were naturally curious about superior technology. What the aliens did not realize was that every question was designed to gather information. Every demonstration was being recorded and analyzed. While Captain Tolvan thought he was impressing simple-minded primitives, the humans were actually learning everything they could about coalition technology and capabilities. Dr. Kang Hyun worked late into the night, studying the data his team had collected. Dr. Park Mina helped him analyze energy patterns and material compositions. Dr. Song Ji looked for weaknesses in the aliens' security and procedures. They are advanced, Dr. Kang said during one of their secret meetings. But they are not gods. Their technology follows natural laws just like ours. The difference is that they have had more time to dev. 6 months after the coalition established their mining operations, thousands of humans were working throughout the solar system. The aliens had built bases on the Moon, on Mars, and on several large asteroids. To anyone watching, it looked like humans were simply doing the jobs they had been given. But something else was happening in secret. Engineer Choi Wan worked on the asteroid mining platform called Station 7. His official job was to operate heavy machinery that cut valuable metals from space rocks. But during his breaks, he studied every piece of coalition technology he could find. The alien power cores were fascinating. They produced enormous amounts of energy from very small amounts of fuel. Choi Wan carefully examined the energy patterns and took secret measurements. With help from his friend, Dr. Nam Soo, who worked on the lunar bases, he began to understand how the technology worked. The principles are not that different from our fusion research, Dr. Nam explained during a coded conversation. They just figured out how to make the reactions much more stable and efficient. On Earth, Dr. Kang Hyun had been officially appointed as the human liaison for technology transfer. This meant he had access to more alien equipment than almost anyone else. He used this opportunity to learn everything possible about coalition science. Working with Dr. Park Mina and Dr. Song Ji, he carefully analyzed each piece of alien technology that passed through his laboratory. They discovered that the aliens' faster-than-light communication system used quantum entanglement, a principle that human scientists had been studying for years. "We are not as far behind as they think," Dr. Park told the secret committee that had been formed to coordinate human resistance efforts. "Their technology is more advanced, but it is built on the same physical laws that govern our universe. We can learn to duplicate it." The secret committee met once a week in a basement room beneath the Seoul Institute of Technology. Besides the scientists, it included Colonel Kim Bo and several other military officers, Ambassador Lee Dae, and leaders from other major nations. "How long do you estimate it will take us to develop our own versions of their key technologies?" Ambassador Lee asked. Dr. Kang considered the question carefully. "If we can continue gathering information at our current rate, I think we could have working prototypes of their communication and power systems within 2 years. Their weapons and ships will take longer." Colonel Kim Bo had been studying coalition military procedures and security protocols. What he had learned was very encouraging from a human perspective. "They have been the strongest power in the galaxy for so long that they have become lazy," he reported. "Their guards follow the same routines every day. Their officers make decisions based on rigid rules rather than adapting to new situations. Most importantly, they cannot imagine that we might be a real threat to them." This overconfidence was visible everywhere. Coalition overseers freely discussed sensitive information in front of human workers, assuming that the primitives could not understand the importance of what they were hearing. They left their equipment unguarded, believing that humans lacked the knowledge to use it properly, but humans were learning fast. Dr. Song Ji had become an expert at accessing coalition computer systems. The aliens used advanced encryption, but they also assumed that no one on Earth could break it. They were wrong. "I have been inside their communication networks," she reported to the secret committee. "I know the locations of all their bases, the schedules of their ships, and the details of their military capabilities. They have no idea that their systems have been compromised." The breakthrough that changed everything came when engineer Choi Wan made an important discovery. While working on Station 7, he found a way to introduce tiny flaws into the mining equipment that would not be noticed immediately, but would cause major failures later. "I can make their machines break down at exactly the time we choose," he explained to his contacts on Earth. "When we are ready to act, we can disable their entire mining operation simultaneously." Dr. Nam Soo had made similar discoveries about the life support systems on the lunar bases. By making small changes to the environmental controls, he could create serious problems for the coalition personnel while keeping the human workers safe. "The aliens depend completely on their technology," Dr. Nam reported. "When it fails, they do not know how to fix it quickly. They have to follow their repair manual step by step, which takes much longer." As the months passed, the human workers developed a secret communication network throughout the solar system. They used coalition equipment to send coded messages that looked like routine maintenance reports. The aliens never suspected that their own technology was being used to coordinate a resistance movement. The most important discovery came when Dr. Park Meena successfully reverse-engineered a coalition, faster-than-light communication device. For the first time, human resistance cells could communicate instantly across interplanetary distances. "This changes everything," Dr. Kang said when he saw the working prototype. "Now we can coordinate our actions throughout the entire solar system. When we can move everywhere at once, but they needed more time to prepare." The humans had learned how coalition technology worked, but they had not yet built enough of their own versions to be effective in a fight. The situation became urgent when Overseer Vraltok decided to make an example of some human workers who had asked too many questions about safety procedures. Vraltok was in charge of the main lunar mining facility, and he had been growing suspicious of human behavior. "These creatures are becoming too curious," he told his assistant. "I think they need to be reminded of their place." Without warning or trial, Vraltok ordered his guards to execute 3 human workers in front of the others. The official reason was disobedience, but everyone knew the real message was that humans should stop asking questions and thinking for themselves. Dr. Songji witnessed the executions during her shift at the lunar facility. She managed to send a coded emergency message to Earth before the communication blackout that followed. "They see us as completely expendable," her message said. "We cannot wait any longer. We must act soon or they will kill more of us whenever they feel like it." The secret committee held an emergency meeting that night. The time for careful preparation was ending. If they waited much longer, the aliens might become more suspicious and make it impossible to act effectively. "How ready are we?" Ambassador Lee asked. Colonel Kimbo consulted his notes. "We have people in position throughout the solar system. We have weapons and equipment hidden in dozens of locations. We have detailed intelligence about coalition forces and facilities." Dr. Kang added his assessment. "We have working prototypes of their key technologies. Not as many as I would like, but enough to give us a fighting chance. Then we proceed to the next phase," Ambassador Lee decided. "Send the activation signal to all resistance cells. The uprising begins in 72 hours. The message went out through the secret network that night, using the coalition's own communication systems to coordinate humanity's rebellion. In mining stations, construction platforms, and research facilities throughout the solar system, human workers began their final preparations. They had spent months appearing to be obedient servants while secretly learning everything they could about their masters. Now it was time to show the Galactic Coalition what humans could really do when they decided to fight. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that because humans seemed primitive and divided, they would remain weak and helpless. But humanity's greatest strength had always been their ability to adapt, learn, and unite when facing a common threat. The Coalition was about to discover that they had seriously underestimated the species they thought they could use and control. The human rebellion started not with explosions or battles, but with silence. At exactly 0800 hours Earth Standard Time, every piece of Coalition mining equipment in the solar system stopped working simultaneously. Power systems failed, communication arrays went dark, and life support systems began showing critical errors. On Station 7, Engineer Choi Wan watched as the alien overseers ran around in panic, trying to understand why their advanced technology had suddenly become useless. "What is happening?" Supervisor Kethvar shouted at his human workers. "Why are the power cores offline?" Choi Wan and his colleagues stood quietly, looking innocent and confused. They had spent months learning exactly which components to sabotage, to create maximum chaos with minimum immediate danger to human workers. "We do not know, sir," Choi Wan replied politely. "Perhaps you should check your instruction manuals." What Supervisor Kethvar did not know was that the power core failures had been programmed months in advance. Every piece of equipment that humans had worked on contained tiny modifications that would cause systematic breakdowns at precisely this moment. On the lunar base, Dr. Nam Su was implementing the second phase of the plan. While the alien overseers were distracted by the equipment failures, He activated a computer virus that Dr. Song Ji had planted in their communication systems. "All communication relays are down," reported the alien communication officer. "I cannot contact the command ship or any of the other facilities." Overseer Vraltok, the same alien who had ordered the execution of human workers, was becoming increasingly angry and suspicious. "This cannot be a coincidence," he said. "All of our systems do not fail at the same time by accident." But before he could investigate further, the life support systems began to malfunction. The air recycling unit stopped working, and the temperature controls started producing dangerous readings. "Sir, we need to evacuate to the emergency shelters," his assistant reported with panic in his voice. What the aliens did not realize was that Dr. Nam Su had carefully planned these malfunctions to force them into the emergency areas, where they could be isolated from their weapons and communication equipment. On Earth, Dr. Kang Hyun was monitoring the situation from his secret command center beneath the Seoul Institute. Reports were coming in from resistance cells throughout the solar system. "All mining operations have been shut down," reported Colonel Kim Bo. "Coalition personnel on 17 installations have been forced into emergency procedures. They are completely cut off from each other." Dr. Park Mina was tracking Coalition ship movements from her station. 3 Coalition vessels are moving toward Earth from the outer system. They will arrive in approximately 6 hours. "Are we ready for them?" Dr. Kang asked. Dr. Song Ji looked up from her computer terminal with a smile. "We have a surprise waiting." The first test of human capabilities came when the Coalition security ship Vigilance approached Earth to investigate the communication blackout. Commander Torval expected to find confused primitives who needed help dealing with technical problems. Instead, his ship's sensors detected an energy signature that should have been impossible. Something was producing faster-than-light communication signals from Earth's surface, and the technology looked like Coalition design but somehow different. "Sir," his scanning officer reported, "I am detecting weapons signatures around the planet. The humans appear to have armed their orbital platforms." Commander Torval laughed. "Impossible. These creatures barely understand nuclear fission. What weapons could they possibly have that would threaten us?" His answer came 30 seconds later, when a beam of coherent energy struck his ship's hull. The beam was not powerful enough to destroy the Vigilance, but it was strong enough to disable several major systems and prove a very important point. Humans now had energy weapons based on Coalition technology. "How is this possible, Commander?" Torval demanded as his crew scrambled to repair the damage. Dr. Park Mina, operating the weapon from her hidden facility on Earth, had an answer for him, though he could not hear it. "We learned from the best teachers in the galaxy," she said to her team. "We just learned faster than you expected." The real surprise came when the Coalition's flagship, Dominion's Pride, experienced what appeared to be a random system failure while orbiting Earth. Commander Vextar, the same officer who had originally dismissed humans as harmless primitives, found himself losing control of his most advanced warship. "Sir, we are experiencing cascading system failures," his engineering officer reported. "Power distribution is failing throughout the ship. Life support is switching to emergency backup." What Commander Vextar did not know was that programmer Li Yun had spent months studying Coalition computer systems during his work as a technical translator. He had planted a sophisticated virus in the ship's main computer during a routine data transfer. "This is not a system failure," Vextar realized as more and more ship functions went offline. "We are under attack." The virus Li Yun had created was designed to gradually take control of the ship's systems while making it look like random technical problems. By the time the aliens realized what was happening, the virus had access to everything from navigation to weapons control. "Sir, the reactor containment system is showing critical warnings," the chief engineer reported with terror in his voice. "If we cannot regain control within 10 minutes, we will have to abandon ship." Commander Vextar had 2 choices: lose his flagship or retreat immediately. He chose retreat, but the escape was not as easy as he expected. As Coalition escape pods scattered across Earth's atmosphere, they found themselves being tracked by weapon systems that should not have existed. Ground-based energy cannons built using reverse-engineered coalition technology targeted each pod with perfect accuracy. The coalition personnel were not killed, but they were captured immediately upon landing. Earth's military forces, coordinated by Colonel Kim Bo, had been waiting for exactly this opportunity. Welcome to Earth, Colonel Kim told Commander Vexitar as he was taken into custody. I hope you enjoy your stay. You will be our guests for quite some time. While the coalition officers were being arrested on Earth, the resistance fighters throughout the solar system were completing the most daring part of their plan. Engineer Choi Wan led a team of human workers in taking control of Station 7. The alien overseers, trapped in their emergency shelters by the life support failures, could only watch as humans seized their equipment and weapons. This is mutiny, Supervisor Kethvar shouted through the communication system. You cannot operate our technology. You do not have the knowledge or authority. Choi Wan smiled as he activated the station's main power systems using controls the Yao aliens thought humans could never understand. Sir, with respect, we have been operating your technology for months, he replied. We just let you think you were in charge. Similar scenes were playing out on mining platforms and construction sites throughout the solar system. Human workers, who had seemed obedient and simple, revealed that they had been studying and preparing for this moment since the day the aliens first arrived. Dr. Nam-Su took control of the main lunar facility by the simple method of shutting off life support to areas where aliens were located while maintaining it in areas where humans worked. You have 30 minutes to surrender and move to the designated confinement areas, he announced over the facility's communication system. After that, your air supply will be permanently cut off. The aliens, who had never imagined that humans could master their environmental systems, had no choice but to comply. But the biggest surprise was still to come as coalition reinforcement. Ships rushed toward the Sol system. They received a message that changed everything. The transmission was coming from Earth, but it was being sent using faster-than-light communication technology that matched their own most advanced systems. Coalition vessels, this is Admiral Park Jin of the Earth Defense Force, the message said. The way aliens listening to this message were confused. Humans did not have admirals or defense forces. They did not have faster-than-light communication or the knowledge to use it properly. Your mining operations in this system have been permanently shut down, Admiral Park continued. Your personnel have been taken into protective custody. Any attempt to retake these facilities by force will be considered an act of war against the sovereign nation of Earth. Admiral Kethmore, commanding the Coalition Rescue Fleet, could not believe what he was hearing. Impossible, he said to his officers. These are the same primitives who were grateful for our offer to let them work in our mines. They cannot have developed this level of technology in just a few months. But the evidence was right in front of him. Humans had not only captured Coalition facilities throughout their solar system, they had done it using Coalition technology that they had somehow learned to build and operate themselves. Sir, his scanning officer reported, I am detecting multiple weapons platforms throughout the system. The power signatures match our own energy weapons, but there are design modifications I do not recognize. Admiral Kethmore was beginning to understand that the Coalition had made a terrible mistake. They had assumed that humans were too primitive to be dangerous. They had given them access to advanced technology without proper security measures. Most importantly, they had underestimated human intelligence and determination. The largest military fleet in Coalition history approached the Sol system like an unstoppable wave of destruction. Admiral Kethmore commanded over 500 warships, including the massive battlecruiser Eternal Dominance. His orders were simple. Retake the human system and teach these primitives that rebellion against the Coalition was impossible. Sir, we are detecting energy signatures throughout the system, his scanning officer reported. The humans appear to have built defensive installations on multiple asteroids and moons. Admiral Kethmore studied the tactical display with amusement. The humans had managed to build some weapons, but they were still vastly outnumbered. His fleet contained enough firepower to destroy entire planets. How many human ships are we detecting? He asked. Approximately 50 vessels, sir. They appear to be converted mining ships and cargo haulers. Nothing that could threaten our main battle units. The admiral felt confident about the coming battle. Even if the humans had learned to copy some coalition technology, they had only had months to prepare. The coalition had been perfecting their military systems for thousands of years. What Admiral Kethamore did not know was that Captain Park Jin, commanding the first human faster-than-light warship Soul's Vengeance, was watching his fleet from a hiding position behind Jupiter's largest moon. Captain Park had been a civilian engineer just 1 year ago, but she had volunteered to lead humanity's first space navy because someone had to do it, and she understood the technology better than most people. Coalition Fleet, this is Captain Park Jin of the Earth Defense Force, she transmitted on an open frequency. You are entering sovereign human territory without permission. Turn back now or face the consequences. Admiral Kethamore could not believe what he was hearing. A species that had been begging for basic technology just months ago was now claiming ownership of an entire star system. Human vessel, you are ordered to surrender immediately, he replied. Your rebellion ends now. Captain Park's response came in the form of action rather than words. The Soul's Vengeance decloaked directly behind the Coalition flagship, impossibly close to the massive ship's hull. Sir, how did they get so close without being detected? Kethamore's tactical officer asked in panic. The answer was that humans had improved on Coalition cloaking technology by studying how their sensors worked and finding ways to fool them. Dr. Song-ji had developed stealth systems that were actually superior to the originals. Coalition flagship, you came here expecting to find helpless primitives, Captain Park transmitted. Instead, you found warriors. The battle that followed would be remembered throughout galactic history as the miracle of Sol. Human fighters, piloted by former miners and construction workers, attacked the Coalition fleet using tactics that no galactic military had ever seen before. Where Coalition forces relied on massive ships and overwhelming firepower, humans used speed, deception, and coordinated swarm attacks. Their smaller vessels darted between the huge Coalition battleships like angry insects, striking vital systems and disappearing before return fire could find them. Engineer Choi Won, now commanding a converted mining platform called Asteroid Strike, used industrial equipment as weapons with devastating results. His ship's mining lasers, designed to cut through solid rock, sliced through Coalition armor like paper. This is impossible, Admiral Kethamore said as he watched his supposedly invincible fleet taking serious damage from converted civilian ships. How are they penetrating our defenses? The answer was that humans had spent months studying every detail of Coalition technology, including its weaknesses. They knew exactly where to hit to cause maximum damage. Dr. Song-ji had developed new weapons systems that combined human military thinking with alien technology. Her missiles looked like harmless space debris until they activated and struck Coalition ships from inside their own defensive formations. Sir, we are losing ships faster than our damage control teams can respond, Kethamore's tactical officer reported. The humans seem to know exactly where our vulnerable systems are located. But the turning point of the battle came when Dr. Kang Hyun deployed humanity's secret weapon from his hidden facility on Earth. Using Coalition gravity manipulation technology that had been improved with human innovations, he created a faster-than-light kinetic bombardment system. Target the Coalition command ship, Dr. Kang ordered his technical team. Show them what happens when you underestimate human engineering. The weapon fired metal projectiles accelerated to impossible speeds using artificial gravity fields. Coalition shields designed to stop energy weapons and conventional missiles were completely useless against solid objects traveling at near-light velocity. The Eternal Dominance, Admiral Kethamore's flagship, was struck by 3 projectiles simultaneously. The massive ship, which had been the pride of the Coalition fleet, broke apart in seconds. All units, this is Admiral Kethamore, came the emergency transmission from his escape pod. Retreat immediately. Repeat, all units retreat from the Sol system immediately. But retreating was not as easy as the Admiral hoped. Human forces had surrounded the Coalition fleet during the battle, cutting off their escape routes. Captain Park Jin and her fellow ship commanders had learned from human military history. where smaller forces had defeated larger ones through superior strategy and determination. "Coalition fleet, you are surrounded," Captain Park transmitted. "Surrender now and your crews will be treated according to the rules of warfare. Continue fighting and we will destroy every ship in your fleet." Admiral Kethmore looked at his tactical display and realized that the situation was hopeless. His vast fleet, which had seemed invincible just hours earlier, was trapped and being systematically destroyed by enemies he had dismissed as harmless. "Primitives. All coalition ships cease fire and prepare for surrender," he ordered with shame and disbelief in his voice. As coalition vessels powered down their weapons throughout the Sol system, the galaxy received its first message from the newly independent human civilization. "This is Earth calling all civilized worlds," Dr. Kang Hyun transmitted from his command center in Seoul. "Today, humanity has proven that we will not be slaves, servants, or subjects to any galactic empire. We claim our right to exist as free and equal members of the galactic community." The message continued. "We did not start this conflict, but we have finished it. Any species that comes to our system in peace will be welcomed as friends. Any species that comes as conquerors will be defeated just as thoroughly as the coalition. Fleet was today." News of humanity's impossible victory spread across the galaxy at faster than light speed. Species that had never heard of humans suddenly knew their name. The coalition, which had ruled unchallenged for millennia, had been defeated by a species they had considered barely intelligent enough to be useful workers. In his escape pod, drifting in space and waiting for rescue, Admiral Kethmore tried to understand how everything had gone so wrong so quickly. "Sir," his surviving tactical officer said, "how were they able to defeat us so easily? Their technology was based on our own designs." Admiral Kethmore considered the question carefully. The humans had not won because they had better technology. They had won because they thought differently than any species the coalition had ever fought. "They did not follow our rules," he said finally. "They did not fight the way civilized species are supposed to fight. They were creative, adaptive, and completely unpredictable. We prepared to fight an enemy like ourselves, but they were something entirely different." As rescue ships from the coalition approached the battle zone, their crews could see the evidence of humanity's victory floating all around them. The wreckage of coalition warships mixed with the debris of human vessels that had fought until the end. But the humans had won, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The defeat of Admiral Kethmore's fleet sent shockwaves throughout the galactic coalition. For 3,000 years, the coalition had been the undisputed master of known space. No species had ever successfully challenged their authority, and certainly no primitive world had ever defeated their military forces. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Council were called immediately. Representatives from all 12 member species gathered to discuss what they now called the human crisis. "How is this possible?" demanded Council Leader Mordak, his 4 eyes showing confusion and fear. "Our intelligence reports said these humans were barely more advanced than animals." Commander Vextar, recently returned from his imprisonment on Earth, stood before the Council to deliver his report. His blue skin had lost its proud color and his voice carried shame and amazement. "Council members, we made fundamental errors in our assessment of human capabilities," he began. "We observed their technology and assumed it represented their intelligence. We saw their conflicts and assumed they could not unite effectively. We witnessed their struggles and concluded they could not overcome serious challenges." Dr. Quindal, the xenobiologist who had originally recommended quarantining the Sol system, had to completely revise her scientific conclusions about humanity. "Council members, I must correct my previous reports," she said, with scientific honesty. "What we interpreted as weaknesses were actually evolutionary advantages. Their emotional responses enable rapid adaptation to changing situations. Their tendency toward independence allows for creative problem-solving that we cannot match. Their history of conflict has taught them military strategies that our peaceful civilization never developed." The council chamber buzzed with nervous conversation. If the coalition's top experts had been so completely wrong about one species, what other mistakes might they have made? "What exactly are we dealing with?" asked Council Leader Mordak. Commander Vextar consulted his notes carefully. Humans learn faster than any species we have encountered. In less than 1 year, they reverse-engineered our most advanced technologies and improved upon them. They created weapon systems we had never seen before. Most importantly, they unified their entire species in response to our threat. And their military capabilities? Asked the Council's military advisor. Superior to ours in every category that matters, Vextar admitted with difficulty. They think strategically in ways we do not understand. They adapt their tactics based on battlefield conditions. They fight with determination that we cannot match because they believe they are fighting for their survival and freedom. On Earth, the aftermath of humanity's victory brought challenges that no one had expected. Ambassador Lee Day found himself negotiating not just with the Coalition, but with dozens of other galactic civilizations that suddenly wanted to establish diplomatic relations with this new power. Earth receives over 100 communication requests every day, he reported to the newly formed Earth Council. Species throughout the galaxy want to trade with us, form alliances with us, or learn from our military success. Captain Park, Jin, now promoted to Admiral and Commander of Earth's growing space fleet, worked with Dr. Kang Hyun to establish humanity's first interstellar exploration program. Ships that had been built to defend the Sol system would now carry human explorers to distant stars. We have proven we can defend ourselves, Admiral Park told the Earth Council. Now we must prove we can be good neighbors in the galaxy. Key. Coalition leadership faced a choice that would determine their future. They could continue fighting humanity and risk losing their entire empire, or they could accept that the galaxy had changed forever and adapt to the new reality. The decision was made by Council Leader Mordak himself, who traveled to Earth aboard an unarmed diplomatic vessel. His arrival at Sol's spaceport marked the first time in Coalition history that their supreme leader had personally visited another species' homeworld. People of Earth, Mordak said in his first public address, the Galactic Coalition comes before you to acknowledge our errors and offer our respect. We underestimated your species, your capabilities, and your determination. We offer a treaty of peace and recognition between equals. Dr. Park Mina, who had become Earth's chief science advisor and diplomatic expert on alien psychology, led the treaty negotiations. Her understanding of both human potential and coalition thinking made her the ideal person to bridge the gap between civilizations. The treaty we established today must ensure that no species ever faces the choice we faced, she told the negotiating teams. We will not allow other civilizations to be dismissed, exploited, or enslaved as we nearly were. The final treaty recognized Earth as a sovereign power with full rights to territorial expansion, technological development, and military self-defense. More importantly, it established new galactic laws protecting developing species from exploitation and requiring peaceful contact protocols for all first contact situations. Engineer Choi Wan, now Earth's Minister of Technology Integration, oversaw the combination of human and alien sciences. His teams made discoveries that neither species could have achieved alone. Human creativity combined with coalition technology is producing innovations at an incredible rate, he reported to the Earth Council. We are not just catching up to galactic civilization. In some areas, we are moving ahead of it. But perhaps the most significant change was in how the galaxy viewed intelligence, strength, and potential. Dr. Song Ji, who had become Earth's Director of Interspecies Research, published papers that changed scientific understanding throughout known space. Intelligence cannot be measured by technology alone, she wrote in her groundbreaking study. A species' true capability can only be determined by observing how they respond to challenges, adapt to change, and work together toward common goals. The coalition military academies began studying the Sol conflict as required reading for all officers. Young coalition cadets learned about humanity's victory, not as a disaster, but as a lesson about the dangers of assumptions and the importance of respecting potential enemies. Never underestimate an opponent based on their current technology level became the first rule taught to new officers. Always consider what they might become if properly motivated. As Earth's first colony ships launched toward distant stars, carrying human explorers and their families to new worlds, Dr. Kang Hyun reflected on how much had changed in just 2 years. They came here believing we were weak, he said during the launch ceremony for the colony ship New Seoul. They measured our strength by their own standards and found us lacking. But they forgot that strength comes in many forms, and humanity's strength was something they had never encountered before. The galaxy was larger now, not just in distance but in possibility. Species that had been ignored as primitive began receiving serious attention from established civilizations. The assumption that technological advancement meant superiority was replaced by respect for diversity and potential, and at the center of this transformation, a small blue planet continued to send its children to the stars, carrying with them the lesson that had changed everything. Never underestimate those who have the courage to fight for their freedom and the intelligence to turn their enemies' strengths against them. Years later, when young humans learned about their species' first contact with galactic civilization, they were taught not to hate the coalition for their arrogance, but to understand that even advanced civilizations could make mistakes when they stopped respecting the potential of others. The coalition learned from their errors, teachers would tell their students. They became better allies because of their defeat than they ever were as conquerors. And humanity learned that our greatest victories come not from being stronger than our enemies, but from being more creative, more determined, and more united than they expect us to be. The lesson had spread throughout the galaxy. Never assume that current circumstances predict future potential. Every species, no matter how primitive they might appear, deserves the chance to prove what they can become when their survival depends on it. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the uniquely human combination of curiosity, creativity, and absolute refusal to accept defeat. The galaxy was richer for having them in it.